Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we are stepping out of my comfort zone because what we're looking at is an anime figure. And what we have here is the brand new Revoltech Amazing Yamaguchi Saitama aka One Punch Man. And you know, if you're familiar with my channel or you've seen my live streams, then you probably know that I'm not the biggest anime guy. I just can't get into it. I don't know what the hell it is. I'm sorry. And I'm talking about like, and you know, I like some animes, Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo. Is that how you say it? I like both of those, but outside of that, I haven't been able to get into any anime. I will say though, I do like One Punch Man. Not necessarily the show, but I like the character. You know, the idea of a bored superhero is very cool. In preparation for this review, I started watching a little bit of the show and I was like, yeah, man, it's funny and stuff, but it's just not for me. I don't know. One of these days, something's gonna click and my mind is gonna completely change, and then I'm gonna be the biggest anime fan ever. But for now, I'm just gonna do uneducated reviews of random anime figures every now and then. But let's go ahead and jump right into it, starting off with the packaging. It's your standard new style Revoltech packaging. We get a little bit of action figure artwork over here. On this side, it says Revoltech Amazing Yamaguchi. Down here, we get a bunch of bullshit. On the side of the box, we get the figure posed up. On the back, we get a look at the figure in a bunch of different poses, along with the accessories. And then over here, we get another look at the figure. And before we move on, I want to give a huge thank you to the folks over at Kowkis Toys for sending this out to me to take a look at. I really do appreciate it. If you're interested in picking up this figure, I'll leave a link in the description below as well as in the pinned comments. But enough about all that. Let's go ahead and get this guy out and take a look. Hey, so right out of the box, I'm enjoying this figure quite a bit. I think that Revoltech did a nice job on this guy. And you know, I've got to say, like, he mostly looks pretty clean, especially in the torso area and in the legs. Like, the arms get a little crazy, but, you know, this whole center area looks perfectly fine. Like, they did a pretty good job at hiding the articulation in there, which is not something they typically do. You know, when it comes to Revoltech, you have to kind of accept that they have a certain approach to making action figures and they do things their own way, and you know, they're going to have some crazy looking joints and they're going to make some interesting design choices. But with One Punch Man, I think they did a pretty good job of keeping the figure close to the source material and making him look mostly aesthetically pleasing. There are certain areas where we do see the Revoltech traits kind of popping up, like in the elbows and a little bit in the shoulders. Actually, I would say the shoulders are pretty nice. You could still see a Revoltech joint up there, you know. But I think for the most part, the shoulders look okay. His arms sit at his side pretty nicely, so that's cool. And then I'm not crazy about what they did up here. Like, this is a weird thing that Revoltech does sometimes. So he has a really nice soft goods cape, but then the collar piece is like fragmented plastic. It's like a couple of different pieces, and it just looks weird up here, you know? It doesn't look like a natural cape. Just, I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff. It would have been nice if, I would have preferred if they just made it all the way soft goods. That would have been way better. But, or even if they would have made this collar piece just one piece or something and made it smaller so it sat closer to the actual figure. I understand they're trying to leave clearance so that, you know, the shoulder joints move and everything, and that's cool, but, you know, I just think the aesthetic sacrifice was a little bit too much in this area, so I don't know. I wish they could have done that better. Honestly, I keep pinching these things down, and the more I do that, the better it looks because it kind of stays in place. I wonder if I could heat it up and kind of mold it to where it could stay where I want it to. Even if, like, I don't know, maybe if I glued these down, if I glued these two pieces down to the centerpiece, maybe it could stay in place. Not down to the figure, but if I glued these flaps down to the centerpiece so that they stay close to the body as possible, that might work. I don't know if I'm going to do that, but I think this could have been done a little better. But aside from that, I think it's a great looking figure, which is really surprising. I mean, you know, a lot of Revoltech figures look great, but something like this, you know, his design doesn't really lend itself to the whole Revoltech concept. But I think that they did a pretty nice job of doing the whole Revoltech thing, but still keeping the figure mostly aesthetically pleasing. So, yeah, man, I think it's a good looking figure. He feels good in hand, too. It moves nicely, and it poses really well. All that stuff that we've come to expect from Revoltech. But yeah, man, right out of the box, I'm pretty impressed with this guy. And I think they did some nice work with the sculpting on this figure. We'll get to the head sculpts in just a minute, but I really like the way they handled the costume. it definitely looks like it doesn't fit him correctly. Like it's very loose and kind of messy, and obviously that's perfect for this character. Up here, these lines never quite like match up, so that looks a little weird, I guess. But other than that, this all looks good. He's got the zipper right there, and the cloth cape looks nice too. It has a bendy wire in it, so it's cool and it's posable. This area right here, I don't love. Like the collar area is kind of crazy. Like they could have, I wish they would have made it to where this was like pressing down on the body. I don't know why they have it floating like that. They could have even like glued it back here. They could have just made this like one piece and it would have been cool and stayed together like that. But I understand they wanted to make it to where you could still move the figure around, but like, yeah, I don't know. I wish they would have put these in a secure spot. But aside from that, everything else looks pretty good, man. I like the yellow. It's got like a cool belt right here that's its own piece, so it kind of moves around and covers any gaps. This all looks good. The forearm things are like a separate piece, so you could remove them if you need to. And, you know, he does have those small Revoltech joints at the wrist. He does come with an extra joint in case you have an accident, so that's nice. But yeah, this all looks good, man. And like I said, I think for the most part, the joints are pretty well hidden. Except for right here at the elbow, and then, you know, the shoulder areas is kind of crazy. But aside from that, the figure looks really good, man. I really like the way they sculpted the outfit to make it look like it doesn't really fit him, you know? That's perfect. And I also like how he's not super muscular. That's good too. But yeah, man, I think it's a great looking figure. And if you have the standard version of this figure, he comes with 7 different heads, and that's kind of crazy. But a lot of the head sculpts are very similar to each other, but still, I think it's pretty cool that he comes with that much. But taking a quick look at the head sculpt, as you can see, it's very accurate to the way that he looks in the animation sometimes. Man, that show's kind of crazy, because it seems like randomly the animation will change, and it'll go from this to his like simplified look. But this is very cool. I think this looks really nice. It's very well done. The paint is very crisp and clean. His face is featureless. He's bald because all of his training, and yeah, it just looks good, man. And then here's the second head sculpt, which is very similar to the previous, except for on this one, he's looking off to the right instead of straight. And then here we have the same head sculpt, but this time around, he's looking off to the left. And then here we have a screaming head sculpt, and on this one, he's looking off to the right. But I like this a lot. I like the black lines around the eyes. It definitely gives it that animated feel. So yeah, this one's cool. And then here we have a screaming head where he's looking off to the left. And as you can see, this one is pretty much exactly the same as the one that's looking off to the right. And then next up, we have a screaming head with just the white eyes, and I like this a lot. I think this looks super dope. And then for the final head that comes with the standard version, we have the all black eyes. And this is awesome. This is probably my favorite head sculpt. He looks very spooky and intimidating. I like the black eyes quite a bit. And then if you get the exclusive version of this figure, you get an additional head sculpt, and that's this right here. And I've got to be honest with you, I think it's messed up that they did not include this head sculpt in the standard version of this figure, because in my opinion, this head sculpt really embodies the whole like vibe of what One Punch Man is all about. The other head sculpts are cool and everything, but you know, they look like just generic anime characters. And you know, there's probably some irony in there or some kind of joke as to why they did it like that. So that's cool and everything. But this head sculpt right here is like, it's a unique look. And when you see this, like, this is One Punch Man. And just this simplified style that looks kind of silly. That's what this character is all about. And I just wish they would have included this in the standard version, because, you know, it kind of sucks if you're a big fan of One Punch Man. You have to find out where to find this exclusive version in order to get this head that represents the character so accurately. But I think they did a great job with this. As you could see, the paintwork is very simple and clean. I like the big eyes and the small mouth and, you know, not a lot of features. It's very smooth. But yeah, this is a great looking head sculpt. And then he also comes with multiple sets of hands. So first off, we have a pair of fists. He has a set of open hands. And then he has a set of open dramatic hands. And then he does come with a couple of effect hands, but only for the right side. So first off, we have this right here, which is basically just a fist with some energy or some fire on it. Maybe it's like moving at a extremely fast pace, so it's like starting to burn up, something like that, you know. But it looks good. I like the different colors and the different shades of yellow and orange on there. And then he has this right here, and this is a very cool accessory. I don't know if this move has like an official name in the anime, but this effect kind of gives the impression that he's punching something several times very quickly. So yeah, man, that's really dope. And I love the colors too. It's like that red, orange, yellow, fiery kind of color scheme. I like how we have the fists on there, and then even the way it's sculpted kind of gives the illusion of movement, so that's really dope. And the way that you put it on the arm, there's like this little plastic loop thing that you peg into the actual effect, and you just pop the hand off and stick it onto the forearm like that. And, you know, once you have it on there, his fist, his actual fist, works as an additional fist in the effect. So, yeah, this is cool, man. I like this a lot. I just wish that he had it for both sides. I think that would have been cool. But as it is right now, he just has it for the right side, and it's a very dope effect. And then he has this guy right here, and this is a nice effect. Definitely makes it look like he has some power in his punch. And this just goes over the forearm. Nothing special. Doesn't clip on or anything. But, yeah, I like that. And you could use this on both sides, so that's cool. And then we have this whole setup, which is pretty cool. So as you can see, we have his flight stand that can be used for multiple different things. You could mount the figure on there. You know, I have like this extra accessory on here that you plug onto this so that you can mount the effect. But yeah, you could plug this directly into the figure itself, or it also comes with like some other pieces, like, you know, it has a clamp. And then there's also this thing. I don't know what the hell this is for. I think maybe it's so that you can like it could hold the figure or support it in some way. So yeah, I probably won't use that. I probably won't use either one of these. I like being able to plug it directly into the figure because I feel like that's the most secure. But yeah, it can also be used to hold on to this effect that he comes with. And I guess this is supposed to be like him punching something and like breaking the sound barrier. So that's pretty dope. Look at that. Boom. That's pretty awesome. I mean, this could definitely look cool for a display, but for pictures, it may be tough to like hide the whole stand and everything. So you may want to figure out a different way to do this. But yeah, I mean, that is definitely dope. And I like that this thing actually has multiple purposes. So you can flip this around. You can see that I have this other, you know, peg ball joint down here. And that's so that you can make it look like he kind of... Oh, you got to be careful because those things are sharp. But like, if you want to make it look like he like got hit and landed, that doesn't look right. Give me a second. Let's see. How do we do this? Does the cape go over? I'm scared that this effect is gonna like poke the cape or something. I guess something like that. Maybe it would work a little better if you had like a different figure. Damn, what the... Something like that, I guess. I don't know. Can you even see the effect? If you want to make it look like he fell on his ass or he knocked someone down and they fell on their ass or something like that. I mean, in the instructions, it kind of shows this. But I don't know. It looks a little weird. Maybe because of the cape. But with the character without the cape, it'd probably work a lot better. And, man, I'm kind of scared that these things might, like, puncture the cape. They're hella spiky. Like, it poked me a few times. But yeah, anyways, I like it better as the, you know, sonic boom punch effect. I think that is very cool. And I like the stand. The stand works really well. I like that it has screws on there so you could tighten them up, and it really helps support the weight of the figure, you know. Another thing that's cool about this stand is that you can port the actual post into like several different points on the base. So that gives you a lot of options. So overall, he comes with a lot of great accessories. So I really don't have any other characters that would go along with One Punch Man, and it's not like I have, you know, various anime figures laying around, so size comparisons are going to be kind of random, but here we have Saitama alongside some of my favorite Revoltech figures. Over here we have Agent Venom, and then over here we have Moon Knight. And Moon Knight's cape kind of has a similar situation to One Punch Man's, but on Moon Knight's, you could take off those extra pieces, and it'll look fine. You don't really have that option with One Punch Man, because they didn't like make the cape come all the way around the neck or anything. So if you take these things off, it just looks like he doesn't have a cape around the shoulder area. So it would look kind of weird. But anyways, it's kind of surprising how small he is next to these other characters. I don't know if their Marvel figures run big or what, but yeah, man, he's a little on the small side. I guess that's kind of the whole idea with this character, right? He looks small and weak and whatever, so, you know, that's cool. And then here we have him alongside the Messy Toys Black Suit Spider-Man and the Revoltech Flash. And then next we have him alongside the Mafex Hush Superman and the Mafex Dark Knight Returns Superman. And then next we have him with the Jada Toys Street Fighter Dhalsim and Jada Toys Street Fighter Vega. And of course we have to show One Punch Man alongside the Marvel Legends Bucky Cap and the Marvel Legends Renew Your Vows Spider-Man. And then last but not least, we have him alongside the NECA Mirage Comics Kirby, aka the King Jack Kirby. And then on the opposite side, we have my original character Odious from Unparalleled Universe. And the articulation on this guy is everything that we've come to expect from Revoltech. You could get him into all kinds of crazy, dynamic, action-packed poses, and he's a lot of fun to play with. But if you're picking up this figure just because you're a big One Punch Man fan and you've never played with the Revoltech figure, just know that the articulation can take some getting used to, you know? If you're not used to this like Revoltech setup, it could be a little off-putting because it's unlike any other action figure, to be honest. Revoltech figures kind of remind me of like a puzzle or something like that, you know? It's really interesting. Like, the system that they have for the articulation is unique to them, and I think it's really dope. It's not my favorite articulation setup or anything, but I definitely respect the uniqueness. And their figures are always capable of dynamic poses, and, you know, that's always awesome. So, me, I like the articulation on Revoltech figures, but I can understand how it could be a little difficult if you've never played with one. So just keep that in mind if you're picking up this figure just because you're a fan of the character. So let's go ahead and see what we have going on here, starting off at the head. So he does have movement at the lower neck and at the upper neck where the neck meets the head. Using both of those joints, we get some nice, like, side-to-side tilt action. He's able to look side to side at the head itself, and he could also look side to side from the neck if you want to use that joint instead of the head. So that's a nice option, but it's a little limited because of the shape of the neck. But yeah, we get pretty good movement at that lower neck joint. Then using both of them, he's able to look down to about right there, which is pretty good. And then he's able to look up a really nice amount, which is ideal for, you know, those crazy flight poses. So good stuff at the head and the neck area. And then for the torso, he does have a diaphragm cut and a ball joint at the waist. I think, you know, obviously, I don't know if there's a ball joint in there actually. There's probably some kind of crazy, complicated Revoltech joint system in there. But anyways, he has movement at the diaphragm and at the waist. Using both of those, he's able to crunch forward a crazy amount. Look at this. So, yeah, that's a lot of fun. That's pretty insane. And then he's able to go back a pretty good amount, but then it gets gappy up here. Oh yeah, look, it is just a ball joint. Okay, I thought it would be something crazy. You could kind of see the ball joint in there. It gets gappy, but you can move the belt around to cover up the gaps. So that's nice. And then we get some side-to-side movement from both of those joints, the waist and the diaphragm. Man, these two joints work together really well. Ooh, it's squeaking a little bit, but that's okay. And then he's able to twist at the diaphragm, and he could kind of twist at the waist. It's a little tight though, so I'm going to be careful. But yeah, pretty good movement here at the torso, especially that crunch forward. That is awesome. And then for the arms, he has a pretty crazy thing going on here. A lot of Revoltech figures have this same kind of setup where they have like this shifting shoulder thing. Look at that. That's that's complete insanity. But it's awesome because it allows you to put his arms in front of him a really crazy amount, you know, for those. Let's see, is something in the way here? Oh no, there we go. If you want to get him in those crazy punching poses, you know, obviously that's what you want to do with One Punch Man. It's always kind of difficult to pose Revoltech figures on camera, in my opinion, because there's all kinds of weird stuff going on. But there we go. Look at that. That's awesome. You could get his arm in front of him a really good amount, and yeah, man, this is crazy. I don't always like this shoulder setup because it sacrifices the look too much, but in this case, I think they did a pretty good job with it. It looks good and it works really well. So yeah, I do like that shifting shoulder setup in this case. It doesn't really go back all that far because it runs into the peg that's holding the cape in place. And if you go too far back, you see some gaps, so you don't want that. But if you want to get his arm like cocked back, getting ready to punch or whatever, there's plenty of other joints in there that that could allow you to do that, you know? So yeah, there you go. And then he also has like your standard Revoltech shoulder joints where it's two joints, one of them going into the body and the other one going into the shoulder joint. And using both of those, you're able to get his arm up a crazy amount. Look at that. Damn. But, you know, once you do that, the shoulders look pretty weird. And then you can kind of shift these around. You can shift around where the ball joint goes into the body or at the shoulder itself. So pretty good stuff there. And then he does have an upper bicep swivel. Revoltech does a weird thing where some of their cuts are just like at a weird angle. And that's the case with the bicep cut here. But yeah, it's okay, because if you don't like that, you can always rotate at the shoulder itself. But yeah, really good stuff here at the arms. Look at this, man. This is insane. I don't know what I don't know what he's doing, but yeah, the movement on the arms is crazy. Can't remember if I mentioned it, but you can go all the way around pretty much on either one of these joints. The one that's in the body or the one that's on the shoulder there. Yeah, there we go. And then at the elbow, he does have, you know, your standard Revoltech joint. I know there's an official name for this type of joint. I'm just not sure what it is. But the elbow gets some pretty good range. Check it out. So he could bend his elbow to about right there without looking weird. And then if you wanted to go more, you can shift it a little bit and it actually bends to like right there. But then, you know, obviously it looks all crazy. So, you know, and then he can rotate his arm right there at the elbow if you need to. I'm not sure why you would, but just in case. There's like, you could just rotate everything everywhere. And then at the hand, he has a ball joint with the hinge, so you could shift that around and do what you need to do there. So yeah, all the movement on the upper body is really great. You could get him into all kinds of good poses up here, like punching poses, flight poses, looking up, all that good stuff. Again, it just takes some time and patience. And then for the legs, he does have like an upper thigh cut, but it's cut like at a weird angle. So, you know, when you move it around, the leg kind of shifts in weird directions. But you can also shift the leg on the ball joint of the hip. Like the hip is on a ball joint, so you could shift things around there if you need to. But yeah, the legs are pretty good. He's able to kick forward to about right there. Oh, here we go. Look at, this is going to get crazy right here. Oh. So he could kick forward a really good amount. He can kick to the side a really nice amount. And then again, yeah, we have this weird thigh swivel. But still, the hips work really well. I just don't know why sometimes they do, like, they have this extra piece of plastic going up and it kind of collides with whatever they have going on in there. This leg is actually giving me some trouble. It's hard to move it without it popping off. So I'm going to have to see what's going on there. I wonder if there's something getting in its way that I don't see. Yeah, so anyways, pretty good movement at the legs. He's able to move his leg forward, to the side, and, you know, all kinds of good stuff. And then at the knee, he does have like a single joint, but it gets really good range. That's a crazy amount of range for a single joint, and it looks pretty good too. So that's nice. And then at the lower leg, what do we have going on here? Oh, man, they have the freaking shin hinge. I forgot about that. Look at that. That's pretty crazy. And you can rotate on that as well. And then at the ankle, he has a ball joint that can swivel side to side, go forward to right there, come up to right there, rocking action, and then he has toe hinge. And yeah. So yeah, like I said, man, the articulation on him is very nice. But like with all Revoltech figures, it takes some patience and some getting used to, and you just kind of have to like work through it. So I apologize for not getting him into like the greatest poses here on camera, but he is capable of some really good stuff. You just have to put some time into it and make it happen. I'm just not the best at posing Revoltech figures in person like this because they're too goddamn crazy. But I always enjoy messing around with these figures. You can definitely get them in fun, action-packed poses. So yeah, man, they did kill it with the articulation, as they always do. Alrighty, so overall, at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, the dust settles, and it's all said and done, as somebody who doesn't have a connection to this character whatsoever, I really like this figure. I think they did a very nice job on it, and I feel like if you're a big fan of One Punch Man, then you're going to dig this figure quite a bit. I think as far as the design and the look goes, Revoltech did a really nice job with everything. He still does have some like crazy Revoltech joints in certain areas, but I think for the most part, he looks pretty clean, and a lot of the joints are pretty well hidden. I mean, it's still Revoltech at the end of the day, but I think for the most part, everything looks pretty clean. There's only certain areas that could have been a little cleaner, like the elbows, the shoulders, and the cape collar thing around the neck. If all those areas were cleaned up, this figure would have looked absolutely incredible. But as it is, I still think it looks pretty good. And it's a Revoltech, so it is what it is. That's how they do things. And you got to be okay with it if you're going to pick up one of their figures. All things considered, I think he looks really good, and I feel like he represents the character from the anime really well. When it comes to the articulation, obviously, he does have that amazing Revoltech articulation that could be a lot of fun if you're used to it. But if you're new to the whole system, then it's going to be a little fiddly and it's going to take some time to get used to. But once you do that, it's definitely a fun figure to play with, and you can get him into all kinds of crazy action-packed poses, which is the whole point of a Revoltech figure. So I think this guy achieves that really well. I really like all the accessories that he comes with. The heads, the hands, the punch effects, all that stuff is really dope. It would have been nice to get punch effects for both sides, but unfortunately, he only has them for the right hand. But still, they're pretty damn awesome. The head sculpts that he comes with are really cool too, but you know what, to be honest with you, my favorite head sculpt out of all of them is the bored disinterested head sculpt, and unfortunately the only way to get that is to buy the exclusive version. I think that that's like essential to the character, and it's really what makes the character interesting, like the fact that he's so bored fighting bad guys or whatever, and I think that head sculpt represents that really well. It should have been part of the main offering, and you shouldn't have to like track down an exclusive version in order to get that like essential part of the character, but still, the heads that he came with are really cool, so there's a lot of good options in there, but I think he should have came with the board head. So yeah, overall, even though I don't really care all that much about One Punch Man, I really enjoyed this figure, so much to the point where it may inspire me to go try to watch the anime again, maybe. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, the figure is really nice, and with that, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. If you want to pick up this figure, it's in stock at Kowkis Toys. I'll leave a link to them in the description below. Using those links definitely helps out the channel, so I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Peace.